Hey, what is up, everybody? Today we have something a little different than what I've been throwing up here onto the YouTube. How old am I? Too old. Anyway, as you can see here, we got a tier list template, and what are these? I'm sure you know. All the monsters in Monster Hunter World base game and end game, and I will be ranking them definitively in terms of the fight. This is not going to be an aesthetic ranking. I will likely do that in a separate video, but this is sure to ruffle some feathers. Every time we've ever kind of brought this up on stream, yeah, it always gets a little spicy, but we have a good time with it. So I'm not going to go in any specific order of from Great Jagras all the way through to Fatalis or in the inverse of that. I'm just going to go from how they have it listed here. So we're going to start the top left here with Asthetic Glavness. I barely even recognize this monster. I barely ever fight this monster. So I was struggling to think who that is. Asthetic Glavness. Not really my favorite monster. I think I'm going to start this one off in C tier. And I might actually change my mind on that. But I think this is going to be kind of our starting point in C tier. Alatreon, funny thing, if you asked me this the first time I fought it, probably would have put it in D or F tier. But after playing the game for 2K hours, no, I don't have a problem. Yes, very easy S tier. One of my favorite monsters. Depending on the day, it is my favorite monster probably, but we'll see. I will try to actually list things in order. The closer to the letter here, the better you are. So, if that matters at all. Ancient Leshen. This monster is pretty bad. It's really just not that fun. I think I'm probably going F tier here on that one, but I may change my mind and give it an incredibly low D grade if I'm feeling generous later in the video. Anjanath. I don't have any strong feelings towards Anjanath one way or the other. I think this is a very C tier monster, but ahead of Asthetic Glavness for me. Azure Rathalos. Rathalos is kind of an annoying monster, but I also still think it's kind of fun to fight. I think it's a low B for me. I mean, I know Azure Rathalos flies a lot, but I still enjoy the fight usually. So, Banbaro as a fight? I'm going to go ahead and say, I don't know, C tier. There's nothing really remarkable about it. It's not really a bad fight. But it doesn't really, I don't remember ever really having tons of fight or fun with the fight with Banbaro. But I don't really remember not enjoying it, so I think it's probably a C tier here. Barioth, I'm going to go ahead and say A tier on this one, and here's the reasoning. Yeah, he jumps around a lot and super annoying and rough, but I love that part breaks on Barioth matter a lot. You break his wings, and suddenly he's not so agile anymore. He actually falls down. Gives you extra damage windows, and the fight just feels really well made. And I actually would love to see more fights that include part breaks, meaning something more than just giving you an extra piece of loot at the end of the fight, or the reduced chance of flying, break Fatalis wings and he won't fly as much. It's maybe that's not worth the effort, right? And probably he just shouldn't fly at all, maybe, but I digress. Barioth. I feel like I should put him in C tier. But I really like the little train whistle he makes when he gets angry. So I'm going to go B on this one. Yeah. Basil. Ooh, this is going to ruffle some feathers. I don't think Basil's that fun of a fight. I really don't. Fun. This is what I'm talking about. Fun and like good. It feels good to fight. Enjoyable fight. I've never enjoyed fighting Basil all that much. Basil's really cool, but that's neither here nor there for this, the purpose of this video. I think I'm putting Basil in high C. Imagine putting Barroth ahead of Basil. Dude, people are going to hate this video. This video is going to get like, it's going to be all dislikes. Behemoth? Obviously S tier monster? No. Garbage monster. I'm not even going to apologize for that. Not fun. Not most of the design is, there's just too many things that are frustrating about the fight. Feels like you could have maybe one or two of those things instead of all the stuff. The tornadoes aren't very fun. Yeah, flash pot them or whatever, but it's just a big clown fiesta fight. Don't enjoy it. Definitely like it less than Ancient Leshen by a good margin, actually, for me. Beototus. Couldn't remember his name for a second. I actually really like Beototus. I think it's a fun fight. I think it's a great starter fight to Iceborne as well. Feels like reasonably well, like a reasonable power level for that stage of the game. How much do I like you? It's not a fight you're going to do like a ton once you've like reached endgame because, you know, you're going to roll it, but it just feels fun. Being able to knock him out of the ice and, it, you know, get those extra damage phases in feels good. I'm going to say like high B for me, I think. Black Diablos. All right. This might also make some people kind of unhappy. Black Diablos, I think, is like probably just a C tier. I'm not a huge fan of the fight. I think I might even think Basil's a bit more like fun to fight despite not being my favorite. Probably something like that. Yeah. Black Velvet Hazak. This is a pretty cool fight. It's a pretty miserable one if you decide to do it without miasma gems or effluvium resistance gems, whatever those are called. Especially like if you're fighting it for the first time. Obviously you get to the point where you've done it 1,000 times, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it can be a pretty rough fight, but I think it's still a pretty cool one. I'm going to go B tier with this one, I think. Do I like it less than Beototus? I think I do, though. Bracky, that's an easy D for me. Easy D for me on Bracky. I think Bracky's actually incredibly annoying. Every time I fight regular Bracky, I like it less as time's gone on. It's not an F tier. It's not an F tier, but I think it's a very annoying fight. Basically, the entire area becomes hard to traverse because the slime blows up so slow. But it still will blow up eventually, right? He moves around a lot. Only his arms and head and like part of his tail are really that weak. Maybe you can tenderize his legs and make him weak. I don't even remember because it's just not worth remembering. For me anyway. I don't know. I'm going to bother some people. This list, whew, some people are going to hate this. I'm predicting 0 likes on this one. But yeah, not a big fan of the Bracky fight. Yeah, I think that's all I got to say there. Oh, maybe it should be noted I play Gunlance. So some of my complaints might not apply to your favorite weapon, but I'm a Gunlance, one-trick, unga-bunga slap lance enjoyer. There we go. Now I've said all the magic words to make people hate this video. Let's keep going. Brute Tigrix. Brute Tigrix. Once in a while I get the mood to like really want to fight this guy, but this, and then I remember why I don't really fight this guy. The second your Rocksteady wears off, it just becomes a pain in the butt because he keeps yelling and knocking you over. Probably a low C for me. Still think I like it more than Bracky, but Coral Puke Puke. Pretty cool fight, actually. Pretty cool fight. I like that all of a sudden he's like this water monster. You know. The visuals are there. I know this isn't really about visuals, though, so I gotta kind of be careful with that one. This is about strictly the fight itself. But I felt like a pretty good fight. I actually got minorly stuck on Coral Puke Puke when I left base game, got to Iceborne, and that was where I needed to upgrade my gear, like big time, was Coral Puke Puke. I was just getting blasted by those water beams for my first playthrough. That was a long time ago now, a couple years ago, but still, I think I'd put you something around here in B tier, something like that. Devil Joe? Ooh, this is really going to make people unhappy. I don't really like fighting Devil Joe that much. I think it's fine. I think it's just fine. I probably like it more than that. I'd probably put a high C. Diablos. I don't even really remember the difference between these two, so I'm just going to put them in no particular order. Diablos is just not that fun of a monster for me. Just is what it is. Dodo Gama. Remember, this is the fight. But still, I'm going to make people unhappy here. Everyone loves Dodo Gama and would give him automatic S tier. I know that's what you're supposed to do, but Dodo Gama is absolutely... look, even Tier Maker knows. It's trying to put him in S tier. Dodo Gama as a fight is incredibly forgettable when you actually engage it, right? You just kind of beat the living tar out of it, and it just kind of dies. What I don't like about Dodo Gama is that it has a tendency of third partying, and what I mean by that, if anyone doesn't really know the term, you're fighting another monster, say, in Elder's Recess. I don't know, you're fighting Uragan or something, whatever. And Dodo Gama sees you. Now, he could just keep walking on by, but he'll actually just start lobbing fireballs at you. He doesn't need to do that. He could just, if he's actually this peaceful, cute little thing that everyone thinks he is, he could just keep going. I think he's a little gremlin. I think his fight is completely unremarkable, and if anything, he's just annoying as an extra monster in the fight. I'm going to go ahead and say... very C tier on this one for me. Very low C tier. Definitely not as bad as Bracky, though, right? Ebony Odo Garen. Great fight. Probably going to go A tier on that one. I'm a fan of the speed of the Odo Garen mobs in general. And they just feel really fun to fight. They feel really good to fight. Fatalis. I mean, goes without saying. It's an S tier. I have to really settle this once and for all. This is not definitive yet, but these two are an S tier. I'm not sure who's ahead of who. It's really hard. But yeah, Fatalis, definitely going to go up there in S tier. Absolutely marvelous fight. Love that one. Done it a couple hundred times at this point, which is, I know, rookie numbers, but yeah. Frostfang Barioth, also a great fight. For the exact same reasons of Barioth, or regular Barioth. I almost said Barioth. That's this guy. Gonna go up here in A tier. I don't know if I have really any particular order between them. Frostfang can be kind of annoying, I suppose, with his ice, but like his extra ice attacks or whatnot, but I don't think it's... I think they're both pretty sick. I love that idea that you break parts and it actually means something. Folger Anjanath. I don't really have a strong reason for this, but I've never liked Folger Anjanath. I don't know why. I'm putting him in D tier. I'm putting him under regular Anjanath for sure. I think I'm actually going to move regular Anjanath up to like here as well, by the way. I think regular Anj is totally fine. Totally a fine monster. Okay, here's where we're going to start really making people angry. Furious Rajang. Furious Rajang is a cool fight, but I don't enjoy it that much. I really don't. And this is where I've completely... If I haven't already lost everybody, this is where I've lost them. I've already put Pickle, aka Devil Joe, into C tier. I've put Basil into C tier. And I've put Furious Rajang into D tier. Probably everyone has clicked off this video at this point, but if you're still watching, hey, I appreciate you. Thanks. Regular Glav. Regular Glavinus. Probably a C tier on that one. Probably higher than Acidic, though. I would say. Goldian. Big fan of Goldian. Really like Goldrathian. Nicknamed Goldian, for those who are unfamiliar. Rathian has multiple variants, just like Rathalos is. Well, a lot of these monsters have variants, right? We have 2 Diablos here, 2 Glavenus. There we go. I couldn't think about it, right? 2 Barrios, but there's 3 Rathians in Monster Hunter World. I almost said World of Warcraft. I don't even know what I'm saying. Who knows? We're out here. But yeah, Gold Rathian I think is sick. She's actually a threat at all times, even in like your endgame armor. Yes, you can absolutely obliterate Gold Rathian, but she can obliterate you too with the Noxious Poison and actually hitting you with a blue fireball. She can actually still kill you even after your Fatalis geared up or an AT Volcana gear, you know, Frostcraft gear, whatever. She can actually still put up a punch, and I think it's just a fun fight. I'm a big fan of the Rathians in general, so maybe biased there, but that's the point of a tier list. You get to be biased. Pog. Great Gyros. Not a lot to say about Great Gyros. You can actually play the entire game and just completely skip it. You can just skip Great Gyros and never feel sad that you did that. Very forgettable monster. Honestly, kind of an annoying one too, because it paralyzes. I mean, it's not that bad once you go back and clobber with like Fatalis gear, but I'm trying to like that kind of invalidates the entire list. So, Great Gyros is kind of a cool monster, but yeah, kind of really, really forgettable. And I'm just gonna throw it down in like bottom C, pretty low C tier, I think. Great Jagras. This is hard to rate because Great Jagras is of course a joke. Like once you have any sort of gear, and even it's, you know, it's the first monster, the first like actual large monster you fight. But I think for what it is, I think Great Jagras is actually a totally fun fight, totally solid fight. I'm gonna go high B tier on this one. Apparently Beototus doesn't want to move. There we go. Kind of the same vibe as Beototus, because they both start the game in their respective points, right? Great Jagras actually starts the game after you get past some introductory, you know, little kill a couple monster quests and learn how to run around and all that good stuff. Beototus introduces Iceborne for you, and I think they both do a great job doing that. And yeah, I get that going back to fight them, especially Great Jagras, and especially once you're in endgame armor, is just completely forgettable experience. You're just going to clobber it in like 3 hits and murder it. But I think they both do the job really well. I think Great Jagras is fun, but actually still can be threatening when you're brand new. But not so threatening that you feel like, wow, this is miserable. Like I'm just getting clobbered by the very first monster. And I'm not really having a lot of fun because I don't understand what's happening. No, it's just like, oh, frick, he rolled over me and did a bunch of damage, but I don't get one shot. I get another chance to figure out how to play against this guy. So I actually really like Great Jagras for a starting monster. And that's how I'm going to evaluate it. People might think this is a horrible rating. That's fair. You know, it is what it is. Geratotus, I actually used to like this guy a lot more until recently doing a very bad speed run of base game World for my subathon that ended about a week ago now. But Geratotus, it's kind of annoying. That like mud spray ability, and you have to fight in the deep water, so you're like just kind of slow the whole time. It's not, yeah, it's like a bad version of Beototus, which is funny because obviously it came first. But yeah, I don't really like it that much, and I think it might be a D tier for me now. It would have I think it used to be like in B tier or maybe C tier if I had made this a while ago, but playing it again recently, it doesn't feel that fun at level, and it's obviously not that fun to go back and just smash it with endgame gear. So, yeah. Kieran. This is probably going to ruffle some feathers too, but Kieran, not a huge fan of Kieran. But that's also because I like to Zerg things with Rocksteady, and Kieran punishes that. That's a recipe for getting paralyzed and murdered. But yeah, still not like the biggest fan of Kieran, but I think Kieran is probably there's a lot of C tier monsters, but it kind of makes sense, right? That's the average. C is what I would consider average. So C is not like a garbage rank from me, by the way. It means I think you're like an average fight, you're reasonable. Obviously, this is like C plus towards this side, and this is like C minus. If you're in the middle, you're a C, right? So C's get degrees, right? It's a passing grade. Where do I put you, Kieran? Probably around like here, I don't know. Something like that. Towards the C plus range or high C range. Kuliaku. It's kind of hard to rate Kulyaku. It's kind of an unremarkable fight. Like, all around her. Like, even early in the game. That being said, the blocking mechanic with the rock is kind of cool, if not a little frustrating, but it's kind of neat. It forces you to kind of stop just zerging it face on. Maybe use a flash pod or something. Try something different, or if you're a gun lance, just unga bunga shell it until it drops the rock. I'd say it's actually, you know what? Because the rock mechanic's actually kind of interesting, I'm going to put it at low B, high C. Decent monster. Kulve Taroth. I absolutely love this fight. I think Kulve Taroth is a great fight. This is... Okay, the rating I'm giving Kulve Taroth is specifically talking about the Master Rank quest. I can't have a differentiator, like I can't have two Kulve Taroths. So I'm not talking about the Siege. The end game Siege quest, for base game Siege quest. I don't really like that one too much. It's okay. But Kulve Taroth Master Rank quest is absolutely S tier for me. Who is this? Kashala Deora? Ugh. Every time I fight this monster, I like it less. Or almost every time. Here's what I don't like about... Wait, what did I call this guy? Kulve? Kashala. Kashala is the name of this thing. Who knows? I barely fight it. What I don't love about this, because there's someone watching this, if you suffered through this long and you got to this point and you're like, okay, surely this guy rates this Elder Dragon higher than like a freaking C tier, right? Buckle up. You're going to be very disappointed. What I don't like about this guy is it's just you're just CC'd to oblivion. You're just being, area denied by those tornadoes. The flash pods eventually stop working. And he just flies around and hides in his tornado. Sometimes he'll fall down into the tornado so you can't even deal damage without Rocksteady, and you're just getting murdered by that damage coming in from the tornado. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, though. If you just clobber the face or use stickies, then he's just on the ground the entire time, or both. A party of 4 just wailing on the face, this guy never stands up. That's not that fun, though. Like, yeah, oh, DPS go burr, and we all get to have... But that's just a training dummy. So this monster's either a training dummy, or it's really frustrating, and you're barely hitting it with a melee weapon that's kind of slow like Gunlance. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe bow or something. You're having the time of your life. I don't know. But it's... I don't love that. It's either all or nothing, and I don't think it's that exciting or engaging as a result. And boy, I'm tempted to throw this in F tier, to be honest. I think out of respect for it being an Elder Dragon, I'll give it a D-, and put it, because these guys are just really rough. But you know what, dude? I can't. I gotta go to my gun, stick to my guns. Oh, goody. Another real banger of a monster. Lavasioth, one of my most reviled monsters of all time. That's going to go right into the F tier. And my thought process for that is it's an entirely skippable monster. You never have to kill this monster. And yet, for some reason, they decided to make it tanky AF. It is some mechanic that I can't be bothered to learn. And people go, that's why it's hard for you. But it's not about it being hard. It's just I think it's just a bad design. It's a very small little side monster that for some reason is, you can't damage it, hardly, right? Like right off the rip anyway, there's basically no weak points. The thing's solid as a tank. Makes no sense. It also gets extra HP in the Guiding Lands, if I remember correctly, for some unknown reason. Like a tempered one of these has some ridiculous, it's like 50k life or something crazy like that, 45k. That's probably for parties. I forget all the values, but it's just got a lot of life, and it's not a very fun fight. Like the actual mechanics it's doing against you don't feel that exciting, and it's just unreasonably hard to damage. Purple sharpness bounces on it, so you need Mind's Eye or to do its little, I forget, it's got some little heat mechanic or something that then it gets soft. But it's just why staple all this stuff onto this random side monster? That's a variation of an already kind of Pepega monster. Yes, I use Twitch speak. I'm so sorry. But, in other words, it's a variation of Gyarados, which is already not that exciting. Yeah. As you can see, not a big fan of the fish monsters, except for Beototus. That's a standout one for me. Legiana. Legiana is a pretty cool fight, if not a bit of a frustrating one because it's in the air a lot. And heaven help you when you have to fight both of them at once. Or you don't technically have to, but it ends up that way because you run out of dung pods and they keep swarming you because they call each other. But it's a reasonable fight. I'd probably put it somewhere in C tier, lower C. What even is this? What the frick is it? Is this another Leshen? I don't even remember. Are there two Leshens? Is there regular Leshen and ancient Leshen? There is, right? Doesn't matter. They're both dog water. I don't even know the symbols for each one. I forgot about that. One of them's like the story quest that's like regular Leshen, then you have ancient Leshen after that, isn't it? But they're not great. They're really not great. Once in a while I get the urge to play it. I do it, and then I realize like I don't know why I had the urge to play it. Ooh, Lunestra. Lunestra was a fight that tilted me off the planet the first time I tried it in base game world. Now, disclaimer, I had like Uragon and Anjanath gear, I think, still by the time I completed base game world. My gear was like really, really scuffed, but it worked for me because I relied on guard up heavily for my first playthrough. Well, Lunestra doesn't care about your guard up because she makes the ground bad. That being said, Lunestra's a pretty cool fight. Think I'd have to go high B on this one. Nami. This is going to pain me because I love Nami as a monster, but Nami as a fight I don't think is great. It's a cool fight. It's visually pleasing, but I'm not trying to go off of that kind of stuff right now. I don't think it's fantastic. I'm going to have to go B- or C+ for this one. Nargacuga. Nargacuga's a fun fight. I like the monsters that like kind of jump around, are pretty nimble, but that have like, I guess, notable weaknesses there. It's not overly tanky. It's got pretty tanky wings, actually, but once you tenderize it, it's not too bad. I think it's a pretty fun fight. I kind of want to throw this one in A tier, to be honest. I like Nargacuga. Nergigante. Great monster. In all versions. Regular, AT. AT is terrifying. I think AT Nergigante might be one of the hardest monsters in the game in terms of base monster. Or, I mean, in terms of like a non-modded monster. I think AT Nergi might actually be the hardest fight in the game. I'm not sure. Maybe it's actually like Extreme Off. But Extreme Off I feel like is hard for arbitrary difficulty reasons that aren't fun. That's why it's down here firmly in F. Whereas I think Nergigante is not arbitrary difficulty. It's actually skill-based difficulty. I think a lot of the stuff that's on Behemoth is just like, oh well, you didn't deal with the 55 bad mechanics that are stapled onto it, you lose. As opposed to, like, you didn't use a little gimmick because your rocks were broken, the jump mechanic. It's out of place to me. Using a gesture mid-combat feels super strange to me. But, yeah. That's that. But anyways, so yeah, I think Nergigante is really sick in all forms. This, of course, is going to be dealing with regular Nergi and AT Nergi. I think I'm actually going to put an S tier. I really like Nergigante. It's a really cool monster. Nightshade Polumu. I couldn't even remember what this monster was called for a second. I always call it like Sleepy, you know? Because that's what they do. They fly around, put you to sleep. But for some reason, I kind of have a soft spot for this one. And I'm kind of going mid-B tier on that, and that's probably going to anger some people. Odo Garen. Big fan of the Odo Garen fight. Put it right up there with its counterpart. It's kind of a cheat code. I feel like these counterparts all sticking together, but I enjoy them equally. Regular Lumu. Maybe I like it a little bit more than Nightshade. I don't know. Do I like it more than Beototus, though? No, for some reason I feel like I like it less, even though it doesn't put me to sleep. I don't know why. I feel like I never do Lumu, and when I do, I'm not that happy to do it. Maybe around here. Pink Rathian. Pink Rathian. I think I'm going to go with Somewhere in the A for Pink Rathian. Maybe right in the middle here. There's not a huge reason why I like the Barioths a little bit more than Pink Rathian, but less than Gold Rathian. I just haven't done as much Pink Rathian. Pink Rathian kind of got left by the wayside for me. I did a lot of regular Rathian and then a lot of Gold Rathian, but Pink Rathian feels like one we just don't really visit. And yeah, it just doesn't shine as much for me as Gold, maybe literally, right? Puke. Pretty fine monster. Kind of introduces you to status effects, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, poison feels pretty terrifying. It actually, yeah, it feels like a pretty scary monster when you're first fighting it, because like, yeah, poison's coming into play. But overall, I think I have to go for maybe a high C here. I like Coral more. Radobon, dude, Radobon is so satisfying and fun to fight at all stages of the game for me. It feels great. You can hit it like when it's rolling, so it topples over. The parts breaking off is just very pleasing, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. It just feels good, right? When you have... My brain just shut off. Oh yeah, like when you have the visual effect of just all the pieces flying off as you're dealing damage. Like, it just feels good. I think it's a pretty cool monster with the rolling attack. Yeah, I think it's a really fun one. I think it's like a low A for me, actually. Really like that one. Raging Bracky. This might ruffle some feathers, but I would actually rate Raging Bracky higher than regular Bracky at this stage. Raging Bracky was a real tilter for me the first time I played it, but as time goes on, I like regular Bracky less, which to be fair usually means tempered Bracky if we're going to do one, but no, I still don't love Raging Bracky, but I think I might actually put it as like a C tier. It can be a pretty interesting fight. Rajong. Regular Rajong. I think I like slightly more than Furious Rajong. So maybe like a C minus. At least you can hit that tail to get a little bit more damage there. Pretty sure that like Giga meta players say the inverse is like Furious Rajong's a better fight because it's like, I forget, the mechanics are easier or something. But regardless, I'm not a Giga meta player, so here we are. I mean, I kind of am, but not really. So here we are. Regular Rathalos. Actually, you know what? I've soured on Azure Rathalos, and I want to put regular Rathalos right there. I think regular Rathalos is a solid B for me. Like a very solid B. But I think Azure Rathalos is probably a little less fun to fight than regular Rathalos for me. So there we go. Rathian. Also, I've soured on Pink Rathian because I want to put regular Rathian here, I think. Yeah. I don't know why, but this feels right to me. Gold Rathian I think is my favorite once like we got to that stage, of course, but I really liked Rathian the whole time. And Pink Rathian was my least favorite of the three, but it's still a Rathian, so it's still up there. Ruiner Nergigante. Not really a huge difference between them in terms of like my enjoyment. I know the fights are different, but in terms of my enjoyment of them both, I think we'll just throw them up there. Safi Jiva. Poor Safi. Safi, I think, is a really cool monster that probably would be way better if it wasn't a siege monster. With all the like things stapled onto it that make it like, oh, you have to do these things to make it happen. I've done modded AT Safi or whatever, and it was actually kind of fun because it's just a giant punching bag. That being said, it's still not my favorite fight. I feel like the fight is designed to slow you down instead of actually give you like a real challenge per se. It feels like it's designed to take seconds off the clock, right? Because the whole thing is like this race against the clock to break enough parts and then kill it. And it's like, I don't know. A lot of the like weird AoE is kind of annoying to avoid, and most of the time just it's going to knock you over and not do that much damage. You're just going to heal it back with health augment. But what it does do is waste your time. And it just feels, and then it flies in the air and does Sapphire Star of the Emperor 15 times in a row. And yeah, you can flash pot it down a couple times, or maybe it's like once or twice, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just not really my favorite. It's fun, and I really enjoyed it at first, admittedly, so that does give some bonus points to it, but it's somewhere in C, I think. On a bad day, it's definitely D. On a good day, it's B, so I'm going to average it to a C. I don't know where. I think I'm just going to slap it right here. No real particular feelings there. Savage Devil Joe, I actually feel like I enjoy fighting more than regular Devil Joe. I think Savage gets itself into B tier. Probably somewhere right in the middle here. Yeah. Scarred, I think this is Scarred Young Garuga. Gonna be honest, I'm not even 100% sure. I think that's what it is, though. It's got a little marking here. This might sound weird because it's like, wow, you clearly like Rathian. You seem to enjoy Rathalos as well. So, like, Young Garuga is basically just another, like, version of those guys. So we expect to see probably a B or something, but I don't know. I have no real strong feelings on this monster. I don't enjoy it a lot. The tiny one that you can fight in the event quest is kind of fun, but, like, I don't know. Haven't really ever got super into it. Probably just like a high C for me. Seething Basil. I feel like I don't have enough of an opinion to really rate it any differently than regular basil. Shara Ishvalda. This is a fun one. This is a really cool fight. I enjoyed this fight the first time I did it. It was hard. It was rough. It took me 3 attempts, I think, or I think I lost 3 times, so it took me 4 full like attempts to beat Shara Ishvalda. But Shara Ishvalda is a cool fight. It's grown on me more and more over time, and I think it might even be a low S tier for me, or a very high, solid A tier. One of the others. Screaming Legiana or Screeching Legiana or whatever the heck it's called is not a favorite of mine. I definitely like it less than regular Legiana. Silverlos. Silverlos is very cool. It's probably a little... I think Silverlos a lot of people don't really enjoy, and I can see why, but for some reason I really like Silverlos. I'm going to put it... It's my favorite Rathalos, I think. It's kind of the same feeling as Goldian. I mean, it's kind of annoying. It flies a bit more, I guess, but it's the same idea where it's like, it can actually kill you kind of convincingly, even when you're in like decked out endgame gear, and I kind of respect that. I think it's a fun fight. Stygian Zinogre. Stygian Zinogre. This is a pretty cool fight. I think I'm a solid B on this. By the way, as you can probably see, I enjoy this game a lot. And you might be like, what do you mean? You put so many monsters in C or whatever. But remember, C to me is average. So you're already like, you're doing just fine if you get in C. Once you make it to B, you're already like a favorable monster to me. Though I might not seek it out all the time. But yeah, there's only a handful of monsters that I clearly try to avoid. Though it's funny, I end up doing Rajang a lot. But, you know, it's... Yeah, this game's great, but let's keep going. We'll save that analysis for the end, I guess. I think I want to put you in B tier. Yeah. Teostra, I might be a little mind-controlled into this opinion because you farm Day of Ruin so much for jewels, but I really like Teostra. I think Teostra's a high A tier for me. Yes, it's, you know, I'm a little burnt out on Teostra probably, but like... Being fair to Teostra, I think it's a pretty fun fight. I enjoy it. I like the moves overall. I don't think there's anything like super overly complicated or frustrating about the moveset, but it can still absolutely destroy your life, even in endgame gear. But there's also options to knock it down by, you know, wailing on its face. The arena, especially Day of Ruin, especially is how I'm evaluating this fight, is a nice little area to fight in. Tigrex. I like it more than Brute Tigrex. I think this fight's like a very high C or a low B for me. Tobi Kadachi. I think this fight is great for what it is, right? Obviously, Tobi Kadachi is what I would call like a little monster. Like it's actually, you know, it's a large monster. It's not one of those like Pepega monsters that wander around, don't do anything. But in the grand scheme of the game, it's obviously a very small monster. It very forgettable in terms of power level after the first time you fight it, basically. But this was the first time I actually wiped out on a monster when I played through this game for the first time. Was Toby. Toby shut me down. We went and got some Baroth gear and came back. I forget what I was still wearing. Maybe Great Jaggers or something like that. But yeah, pretty cool fight. I like it. I like how it works. Jumps up on a tree and flies at you. Has the lightning mechanic or the Wait, does that actually have paralyzed? Dude, it's been so long. I know it has thunder on it, right? So yeah, I think it's a low A for me. Zitzi. Yeah. Zitzi is kind of a doo-doo fight. I mean, if you slap on stun resist, it's a completely forgettable fight. Otherwise, it's an annoying fight. So neither of those really scream like, this is a really good fight. You know what I mean? So there you go. Zitzi has a flashbang effect. It's also an annoying monster. It tends to third party, much like Dodogama, where you're wandering around Coral Highlands. You're fighting Odo Garen or something, and Zitzi will patrol in, get startled, and then just start flashbanging everything, including you. So, yeah, just not really my favorite. Uragan, maybe it's because I farmed it multiple times for its gear for guard up throughout my progression, but I think it's also a D for me. It's kind of just annoying. It's like a Wish brand basil juice mixed with a Wish brand Radobon or something. I don't know. It's because it throws all those little landmines everywhere like it's some kind of basil juice fanboy. It has a rolly thing, but I don't think you can knock it over. You might actually be able to. I don't remember. It has more hard points on it, less fun stuff to knock off of it. It just doesn't feel as fun. I always feel kind of annoyed when I have to fight this guy. Valhazic. I think Valhazic's a pretty fun fight. I think it might actually be more fun than Black Veil for me. Probably high B. Don't really do it too often, though, to be fair. Velkhana. Definitely up here in S tier. And yeah, probably like that. Do I like Cool more than Nergi? I don't know. I have to sort S tier out. This is going to be tough. Viper Toby Kadachi. Viper Toby is pretty brutal, actually. That thing wiped me out, too, the first time I played against it, if I remember correctly. Because it has poison and paralysis, which makes it pretty nasty. Kind of an annoying fight. It's kind of cool, though, because it packs such a punch for being based off of a monster that quickly becomes irrelevant. Of course, then it becomes irrelevant, too, but that's just the way it goes. It's not a monster I really seek out, though. So I think I just kind of slap it in, like, middle C tier. Xenojiva. Pretty cool fight. Pretty cool fight. Like it more than Safi Jiva. Feels like a low B. I think it's a low B, high C. Yangaruga. I don't really have any opinion on them being separate. I don't even remember what they do separately to be. I really don't. Between Scarred and regular, so completely no distinction. Some kind of a C tier monster. Zinogre. Definitely an A tier monster for me. I really enjoy it. I like the sound design as well, which can make a fight more enjoyable and fun. Let's back it off a little bit, though. I think it's like down here with the Odo Garen's fun. Yeah, not quite. Yeah, no, I think I like Barioth more than Zinogre. Yeah. And the greatest monster of Monster Hunter history. We saved the best for last, of course, everybody. Denizens of the internet. Zora Magdaros. What a goofy looking icon. Everything about this monster is absolutely loathsome. This is my least favorite monster in a game. When people ask me on stream, like, what's your least favorite monster? I often won't remember to say Zora because I don't even view it as a monster. It's so bad to me. It's in a league of its own. But I'm not going to be that silly and make like an extra tier, like the Zora tier or whatever. It's just firmly bottom F, least favorite monster, and then this guy, Behemoth. But there you go. Let's do a quick F rank check to see if who gets to be the winner of F rank. That's not a great honor, right? But still something. Boy, I don't like any of these monsters, but these two are definitely the worst. Leshen, once in a while I get like a soft spot for Leshen, and then I don't know why, because I realize I don't enjoy it. So yeah, Leshen I think is still going to stay here with Ancient Leshen, whichever is which, I don't even remember, don't care. Yeah, no, I think this is the order here. Gosh, this is not really relevant. Yeah, I think Lavazioth is the winner of F tier. But that really doesn't mean much. So there you go. D tier winner. Who's going to be my D tier winner? Probably, yeah, Folger's getting the short end of the stick here. Definitely don't like it less than these other monsters. I think it should be something like this. Look how Aragon's portrait is so tiny compared to the other monsters here. And yet, it's probably one of the larger monsters out of all the monsters on this page. Like on this tier, D tier. Check out C tier. We'll work from the bottom because I'm more confident in my bottom rankings. Dodogama, I think, stays. Rajong. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that. I think everything here is looking good enough for me. Yeah. How about B tier rankings? Is Pinkrathian really my favorite B tier monster? That's probably not true, actually. That's actually probably not true. I think I like Stygian Zinogre more. For what it is, I think I like Great Jagras more as well, and Beotodus. Like, for their purposes. Like I said, they're obviously, you know, Great Jagras is obviously going to be incredibly forgettable later in the game, and I get that. But I think Great Jagras is a cool monster for its time. Like, for its time in the game. I think it does a good job. I think I like Savage Devil Joe more, actually, than Pinkrathian, which is surprising to me, but suddenly I feel that way. I think this is reasonable. A tier breakdown. This is a tough one. I think Goldian's actually a little bit winning out here. Otherwise, I feel pretty good about this. S tier breakdown. This is the hard one. Who's my definitive favorite monster? Boy. This is rough. I think it might be Fatalis. Then Alatreon, then Velkhana. I like Fatalis' ability. Sometimes I like the Alatreon fight a lot more, especially because you can, like, it can be won over in like 4 minutes. You just absolutely zerg it pre-eschaton. Feels really nice. But, like, Fatalis is fun because even with an experienced Fatalis killing group, you can still have something go horribly wrong and just wipe out. It's rare on Alatreon. Unless you're going pre-eschaton, you don't get it. Yeah, sure, you wipe to eschaton, but you didn't actually wipe to, like you probably didn't actually die 3 times to his normal mechanics. Most likely you didn't. That happens so rarely. But people can totally die to regular Fatalis mechanics, even people that have 1,000 Fatalis kills. So I think I like that a lot. Velkhana, it's tight. It's really close, but I think Velkhana will still stay in third for me. Then cool. The Nurgis are pretty much, I wouldn't take this as like the gospel here. I'd say they're interchangeable. And then Shara, I think that's good. So here we are. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I enjoyed making this. I will also be making in the next day or so here, hopefully anyway, it's the plan, be making one of these, but for aesthetics. So I expect the list to suddenly be very different. So more like how I like the monster in terms of visuals, and maybe we'll probably throw sound design in that as well. I know I let that seep into some of the review here, but not too much. But yeah, all that kind of stuff. How flashy the attacks are, how cool. We'll do that in the next one. But this is actually in terms of fun to fight and feels good to fight and feels like a well-made fight. This is my opinion. I'm sure everyone's going to hate this because there's some fan favorites that are down here. But it is what it is. That's how I feel about it. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to check me out on Twitch. I'll put my link in the description below. Also, I'm going to do the YouTube thing. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. I do appreciate it if you do. I'm trying to be more active on YouTube, get some things out, so hopefully you guys enjoy that content. There'll be more Age stuff coming too, Age of Empires. But yeah, until next time, you all take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your night, morning, or day. And Peace.